God for Lesson 11, The Sorcerer. Lord of Winter, the old god is also lord of the hunt and of the forests, master of game and of all wild creatures and places. Lord of Death, the old god is also the patron of shamans, priests, and sorcerers. He presides over omens, dreams, and ecstatic trance. In many ancient traditions, the old god led the wild ride, in which the souls of the dead were believed to ride forth by night in a great and tumultuous procession, and in which the living could also join through trance and astral projection. This was the central feature of the now extinct German form of witchcraft, known as the Hexenei. The most common name for the old god you will find in modern Wicca is Cernunnos. Cernunnos is the name of an ancient Celtic form of the sorcerer archetype, and it literally means horned one, from cornu, or horn. The name of Cernunnos is attested from a number of ancient, mainly Gallic, Celtic inscriptions. It is also preserved in modern folk versions such as Herne the Hunter and the Giant of Caernarvon. Other Celtic names for Cernunnos include Seculos, Daida, and the Fisher King. Cernunnos is portrayed in ancient artwork as a middle-aged to elderly man, usually bearded, with antlers or horns mounted upon his head. Often he is shown sitting in a distinctive cross-legged manner reminiscent of the lotus position used in yoga. Cernunnos' animal forms are the reindeer or stag and the horned serpent or dragon. Sometimes this god is also shown with his legs turning into serpents. If you remember earlier discussions of the god for each lesson, you will recall that the serpent represents the power of universal deity in movement, motion, action, time, the dance of life. Patron of druids and of magical and spiritual knowledge, Cernunnos possessed two important attributes, the Staff of Life and the Cauldron of Plenty. If the god touched any creature with the top end of this staff, it would immediately die. If the god should then touch the creature with the other end of the staff, it would immediately come back to life. This is a metaphor for reincarnation and also for the cycles of time. The staff, sometimes portrayed as a spear or sword, represented the god or male principle, the yang force. Sometimes the staff was exaggerated into the form of a large club. It appears thus on the Caernarvon giant and in Irish stories of the Daida. For the Gallic Seculos, on the other hand, the staff was streamlined to a hammer or mallet, hence the name Seculos, the striker. In modern Wicca, the staff is represented by the athame and the magic wand. As for the Cauldron of Plenty, it produced a never-ending supply of food and drink. Because of this, Cernunnos was conceived as a giver of plenty, a god of wealth and prosperity. Sometimes in Greco-Roman artwork, the cauldron is portrayed as a cornucopia, and it may also be represented by a bag of fruit or cascading coins. The cauldron represents the goddess, or female principle, the yin force. This is the endlessly creative, nurturing aspect of deity, constantly bringing forth abundance. The cauldron was also said to bring the dead back to life, thereby representing the womb of the goddess and her life-giving power. In modern Wicca, the cauldron is represented particularly by the chalice. In the medieval romance of Percival or Peredur, the hero travels to the castle of the Fisher King. The Fisher King is lame, representing the slow-moving sun of the dark half of the year. In the castle, Percival witnesses a sacred procession. Two men, dressed in polar colors, carry a huge spear, which drips blood. Behind comes a maiden carrying a chalice, with an image of a head inside it. When asked what this procession means, Percival remains silent. He is later told that had he answered, the Fisher King would have been cured of his lameness. That is, the horn god would have been reborn as the young god, and winter would have given way to spring. The secret of this procession, which Percival did not speak, is this. The spear is the god force. The blood flowing from it represents the movement of the life force in the universe. The spear is borne by men in polar colors to represent the polarities of life and death, or summer and winter, through which the god continually passes. Remember, the god represents physical existence, the world of action, transformation, and cycles. The chalice with the head inside it represents the goddess. To the Celts, the head was the seat of the soul and represented the spirit. Thus, the chalice represents the goddess force as the origin of the soul and of life. The goddess represents creation, the life force, and the soul, the world of spirit, eternity, and essence. This secret, guarded by the old god, describes the ultimate nature of life. The goddess produces life, the soul, and the spiritual world. The god carries this essence into physical manifestation through action in the cycles of time. The world exists through the union of the two. This ancient allegory was translated into Christian thought as the legend of the Holy Grail. It was venerated by the Knights Templar as the mystery of Baphometus, or the initiation of wisdom. In modern Wicca, it is celebrated through the Great Rite, when the athame and the chalice are conjoined to symbolize the eternal union of goddess and god. The old god is honored at midwinter, the Sabbat of Yule. After this, he will be reborn as the young god, but on this shortest day of the year, the old god is at the height of his powers. As Lord of Midwinter, the old god is shown as an old man with a long white beard. Commonly, he is dressed in red or green robes and crowned with holly. Portraying this god as the spirit of Christmas present, Dickens interpreted his ancient cauldron of plenty as a drinking horn filled with the milk of human kindness. In his modern form of Santa Claus, the old god still retains his ancient role as giver of plenty, his cauldron transformed into a bag of toys, and his totem reindeer now present at his side on the longest night of the year.